All right. So, in one of your podcast interviews I saw you do with somebody else, you talked about how it is being a content creator and like the ideas that people will get about you, and then how you will have to take time correcting all of the lies and things like that. So, I like to help you clarify some of the misconceptions out there for people who don't know. I'm hoping that this interview makes it easier for people to see the truth like an actual black light would do. Like kind of like my name, hoping that I can help you out with that.
Right on. Cool.
All right, so I wanted to start everything off just telling my side of how this whole interview came to be and then get your perspective on it. I try not to be too long-winded with it, but it's a point to me saying everything up. So I uploaded my Flat Earth Awakening story on my YouTube channel recently, but just to go through it really quick. Like I first heard about it in January of 2016 when Bob posted that picture on the mountain on his Instagram asking where is the curve. You familiar with Bob, right?
Yep, in that picture. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was my moment when I first heard about it. Now, when I started looking for more information on it, I don't remember when it was that I first found your channel, but I know I found yours first. At the time, you seemed to be like the biggest name out there. Like I had eventually heard about some of the other names like Rob Skiba, Mark Sargent, Dave Weiss, and Matt Boyle, and all of the other bigger names. But I remember when I first was looking for information, I found your channel. You had like well presented videos. Like you always gave me with enough to work with when I was talking to people or debating or whatever. So, like I said, I like to go straight to the source. You seem to be like the first person that I found. So, I don't want to go to the middleman. I go straight to the source. So, um, so I got some notes I'm going off of. I'm trying to go off of my head as much as I can.
No worries.
Uh, so, so yeah, fast forward to like 2017. I remember I was actually writing and recording my own music at the time I was rapping. And I made my own YouTube channel because I also wanted to spread my music and spread the word of flat earth. But I noticed like most people really just didn't even seem to care. So it kind of discouraged me and I gave up before I ever even really got started. And yeah, I just figured I just need to focus on making money anyway, because even if I wanted to, make music at a high level or even make good quality videos, I would need money to buy equipment and all of that. So um so like I said, yeah, I gave up on that, and I was making music with a message, which that doesn't really make money either. So I gave up on really trying to spread the word on the internet. And then fast forward to a few months ago, I found a guy with a channel on YouTube called Ironwork 92,000, and he does live streams. And he has like a pretty fair channel. So I joined the panel a few times. And then one day, Mark Sargent happened to join. And I know that he met Mark Sargent through some other channels. And I guess Mark Sargent wanted to come on there and answer some questions for people that they had about him. And I hadn't followed anybody, like I said, over the years. I really only followed you and Brother Sanchez also. He used to do live streams, so I found out about him. I followed him as well. But when Mark Sargent was on there, I pretty much let everybody else ask their questions because I didn't follow him. The only questions I had for him was the claims that he made about you. Um, which yeah, that prompted me to go in your YouTube comments and ask you for some clarification about things that he and other people had said when I was on Ironworks channel, just for my own clarification. So now, a couple other claims that Mark made about you is that you have a monstrous ego and you don't like sharing a stage with anybody. But I'm essentially a nobody in the flat earth community. Like I said, I gave up on my channel. I didn't have any content or any subscribers until a couple months ago. And on top of that, you saw my interaction with Dave Weiss, where I called him out for his racist remarks. And when I did that on Ironworks channel, a lot of people didn't see it the way I saw it, and they felt like I was being racist and I was being divisive. And you could have saw it the same way. but none of that deterred you away from interviewing with me. And here you are sharing the stage with me, somebody who's essentially a nobody on your platform. So I just wanted to start it off like that, just kind of to squash that, what Mark said, like just you sharing the stage with me, it goes to show you don't have any ego about you. And like, you know, you're willing to promote other people's platforms.
Yeah, thanks. I agree. On my podcast, I like to have smaller channels and just my subscribers and supporters and people that are in the flat Earth movement but don't have such a big voice. That's kind of the main people I would rather talk to versus these people who have either been propped up or they end up debating these globers, and then they're just promoting their channels. I don't see that that's very productive at all. And I don't think I have a big ego, and I don't think that I don't want to share the stage. But what it is, coming from their perspective, is that I do have issues with a few of the bigger flat Earth channels that just popped up right after I came along. And, I knew this would happen. Going back to Robotham, he had his thing with Alfred Russel Wallace, and they had this big, they ended up going to court. They had police involved, and neither of them conceded. And then you've got like Ferrari and Charles Johnson, the Flat Earth Society and the International Flat Earth Research Society. In other words, there's always a genuine camp of flat earthers, and then there's always this controlled opposition or this disingenuous disinformation camp of people who pretend to be flat earthers, but then over time expose themselves for who they're truly working for. For example, one recent one is Jeranism, who I've called out since 2015 from things that I've noticed in his content. And then he goes on, along with Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer in 2018, to go along with a group of 3 Globe Earth proponents who are filming a documentary. They get paid to support 3 Globe Earthers, and then it's a mockumentary. It's absolutely awful, and it's promoted by Netflix, so everybody sees it. So everybody looks to laugh at the flat earthers. And Jeranism, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer, they sold out to these Globers to make this mockumentary. And then after the fact, as I said they would do, they go, "Oh, we didn't know they'd make us look bad. Oh, we thought they'd be fair and balanced. Oops." And even if you're going to give them that, what does Jaron do now in 2024? He goes along with this final experiment thing. Again, a group of Globers trying to put flat Earth to bed, as Will Duffy said, and they go along with their whole scheme. And then Jaron believes it. Apparently, now he's back to the globe. He's not a flat earther anymore, and we're all dumb. Now he's acting just like all the typical globers. 10 years of flat earthing. Now he's just completely flipped the script, and he sounds like your typical brainwashed globe earther who's never heard a flat Earth argument in his life. And this is what I have a problem with. I don't have a big ego. I don't think I have a problem sharing the stage. I just am a truth teller. That's why I got into this in the first place. So when I see people telling lies and I see people spouting disinformation, I'm going to call it out. And that's what they have a problem with. But they're not going to tell you that. That's my perspective. From their perspective, they just think, "Oh, Eric's calling," whatever. If you're these people I'm calling out, of course they're not going to have the same perspective I do. But if you don't hear from me and all you hear is what they're saying, then yeah, maybe it sounds that way. Maybe it sounds like I'm this untouchable guy that doesn't want to share the stage with anyone. So I appreciate you saying that and let me clear it up.
Right. It's funny because I remember seeing like over the years, I remember seeing the Behind the Curve documentary on Netflix. And at the time when I met Mark Sargent on Ironworks channel, I forgot where I had known Mark Sargent from, because like I said, I saw it, but that documentary, I felt like that deterred me from looking into any of his stuff, because I felt like just me using my intellect and discernment, if I'm looking into the flat earth, this is not a good representation of it. So when I met him on Ironworks channel, I really forgot who he was. So like I said, I let everybody else kind of carry the show with their questions. But yeah, just like I know some people, yeah, they look at you like a recluse, which is understandable on the level. I mean, you was living in Thailand, but you never seem to be standoffish or egotistical or anything like that to me, because you responded to so many of my comments just in your on your YouTube videos over the years that I felt like I knew you. I remember I would jump in your comments like, "What up, E?" and then you respond like, "What up, Black Light?" Like, so it was dope. I felt like I knew you like before we ever even met.
Yeah, I try to, my favorite part of the whole YouTube thing is the comments and talking and replying to people. So I absolutely make time for that and enjoy it when people leave, some people leave these multi-paragraph comments and I read them all. I love it. So, and I try to write back to as much as I can. As my channel's gotten bigger, sometimes can't reply to all of them, but I do read pretty much everything. Almost nothing slips by.
That's dope. So everybody can see Eric Dubay is easy to get in contact with if you want to reach out to him. But all right, so I want to just touch up on the timeline a little bit, just to get some things clear from just some claims that I heard just from interacting with other flat earthers since I've been online. So of course you're not the first person to ever speak on the flat earth, which you said before, but just for the sake of establishing truth and giving credit where it's due, I want to make sure we get some of this stuff straight. So you published the Flat Earth Conspiracy, which is your book. I have that right here. This was in, can you see it on there?
Yeah, right in front of you. I can see it. Yep.
Yeah, that was in November 2014.
That's right. Yep.
So did you start posting YouTube videos about the flat earth before then or after? Because I remember you said you was building your social media, your online presence with other conspiracies prior to then, but was flat earth involved before the publishing of the book or after?
Very little. So I in 2008 was when I published the Atlantean Conspiracy book, and I had an Atlantean Conspiracy website, and that was a lot of other conspiracies. And in that, I did include geocentricity. So that was on my radar. And I had already read William Carpenter and Samuel Rowbotham's book. I think it was in 2008 or 2009. Oh, it was in 2008 I read it. And then in 2009, I Alex Jones was having all these NASA astronauts on, and he was like praising them up and down and not asking any critical questions and acting like everything they did was legit. And at that time, I thought Alex Jones was legit. So, and he was one of my go-to guys. Alex Jones and David Icke were maybe the two main people that got me into this. In around 2007 was when I realized 9/11 and got into this whole research, and then started putting out my own stuff. So I tried contacting him, and he didn't respond to me. But on air afterwards, he said, "Well, I got some flat earthers contacting me saying that it's all some Atlantean conspiracy," which is the name of my book and website. So I knew for sure that he got the message. And he was calling me a flat earther because I sent him links to the flat earth books along with some other stuff in the email about the moon landing hoax and whatever, because I was considering flat earth and just sending it along to Alex, just thinking like, maybe you've never considered this before type of thing. But he literally laughed at me and didn't reply on air. And so that's 2008, 2009. And then somewhere between then and 2012 was when I started looking to the old flat earth books, and I was reading those. I was also writing spiritual science at that time. But no, I didn't put out any flat earth information on any of my platforms until November 2014. That was when I exploded my flat earth information. Previous to that, I had just done, as I said, and I had some geocentric information. I did have a quote from Charles Johnson in the Atlantean Conspiracy, because the cover of Asbestos Head is a flat earth drawing, which is kind of funny looking back on it now. I didn't even think of it that way when I was choosing it. I just liked the painting and thought it was appropriate for Asbestos Head. And then a few years later, I became a flat earther and realized what I'd done there. So yeah, no, November 2014 is the main time, and you can see the flat Earth keyword in Google Trends hadn't made any significant jump previous to that, and it was right then when it just started this exponential rise, which is what I had hoped for, which is what I'd been trying to do. But yeah, that was some weird YouTube shenanigans. I mean, that's light. I've had a lot more YouTube shenanigans. They've unsubscribed subscribers,
Yeah,
lowered the view counts on my videos. Oh, yeah, you've had that happen. They've taken
yeah. I
away.
had I had to resubscribe to your channel for like maybe 4 or 5 times over the years.
Wow. Yeah, so they do a lot of, and you've probably seen in Congress, they've even asked, like they're saying, what do you do to curtail this conspiracy theories on your site? Now they put those Wikipedia banners and stuff,
Like a little thing
right?
under each
But
video.
they also de-emphasize you in the algorithm and emphasize the debunking videos. So there was a time, which is when my channel actually was able to grow, maybe 2016, 2017, that area. Shortly after that, they put the clamp down and you couldn't just type in the name of my video and have it come up anymore, or flat earth and have my channel come up anymore. Now you type in the name of my video and some other channel that claims to be debunking my video will come up, or you type in flat earth and some channels claiming to debunk flat earth will come up, and you just can't find genuine flat earth channels unless people share them, unless someone's given it to you. It's You can't organically find it through the YouTube algorithm anymore, and that's by design. They discussed that in the congressional meeting.
Right. All right. So going back to the timeline. So I know you said at that time when you had started, there wasn't much on the internet about flat Earth, but this is another claim I wanted to get your side of because it came from somebody whose opinion I respect, but I don't know much about it. I wanted to get your side of it. There was a channel called a YouTube channel called Immortal Souls, and they actually did start putting out flat Earth videos starting in 2013. And I was told that you had you used one of their videos or some part of their videos and didn't give them credit for it. I don't know much about it, but I wanted to ask you about that.
I do remember that channel and that his name. And yeah, he was real early flat earther. That's possible. And it could be possible that I used a clip without giving credit too. I'll apologize for that if that is the case. I'm not exactly sure on that one.
Eric, you know what? See, that just shows how solid you are. I was a little worried about asking you that question and how you might take it, but I was even telling my lady, I was like, he down to earth. I feel like he'd just give a straight up answer, like, look, you solid for that. Look, is it okay if I plug my guy's channel real quick?
Sure.
His name is Old Me No More. So Old Me No More, that question was for you. You see, he didn't duck it or dodge it. He was just straight up and apologized if he did. All right, so you published your stuff November 2014, and then you said it was around, let's say February or well, you saw the spike start to go up in the flat Earth search, and then it was around February or March of 2015 when Mark Sargent popped up with his flat Earth clues, right?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 months after. He might have been, maybe his first one might have been January even. I don't remember the exact time, but yeah, but it was so close. That was the thing. Previous to that, I'd been following what little flat Earth stuff there was. There was like Math Boylan. There was a channel called J. Henning Kalagia. There was maybe that Immortal Souls. He was an early one. Paul Michael Bales was on Facebook. And I had another one. I just slipped it. But that, no, yes. What's his name? Rory Cooper. Rory Cooper was another one. And so, but it's about it. Like there was, you can pretty much name them. There was a handful of people talking about it, and that was about it. So then, like I said, I published the first pro flat Earth book to be written in 50 years. I made this flat Earth conspiracy documentary that got a bunch of hits. I had these articles that got traction. I started doing interviews. So, it got out there. But then right away, within a couple months, Mark Sargent and Jaron was right on his heels, and a bunch of these others that I call the FEIC, which is Flat Earth International Conference. That's what they call themselves, the FEIC crew. It's these people that all kind of coalesced, and they just happen to be the exact people that I've been suspicious of and noticed them telling certain lies or giving disinformation, and they all work together. And so for me, coming into this, and then, putting my information out there, seeing a few genuine flat earthers coming to IFERs, talking to me and stuff, and then seeing these people, they don't even talk to me. They just come up alongside of me, and then their organic growth is just, out of this world. Another red flag. It's like, how are they're growing so quickly? They don't even bother to network or whatever. And then, but they network with each other. And then when if and when they do finally reach out to me, I'm like an outcast anyway. And I prefer it that way. And so then if I don't, go on their show or reply to their message or whatever it is, then like, I'm not a team player. I don't want to share the stage. I got a big ego or whatever it is. A big part of it is I'm an observer. I'm watching what everyone does. I'm not necessarily trying to go out there and shake your hand and make friends with everyone, right? You too, for example. I've seen you in the comments section for years. That's why I've noticed that I noted your comments. You make great comments. So I was like, this would be a cool guy to talk to. I didn't even see you on video until a week or two ago. I had no idea, exactly what you were like, except for that you wrote really good comments. And that's a few people I've had on the podcast. That's exactly, that's all that's all the interaction we've ever had until this. And this is my way. Like I said, I like interacting with people through the comments. That's my favorite part of the YouTube. And this is just now an extension of that. So the people who leave the best comments, it's like, hey, let's have a real talk. So that's what's going on there.
All right, so I wanted to make sure I'm getting the timeline straight for everybody who sees this, because another claim that Mark made, because he said that on Ironworks channel that you called him a shill, and I asked him why you called him that, and what he said was that at the time he didn't know who you were when your team supposedly reached out to him saying that you didn't want him using Crow 777's footage. So, and he says, these are his claims. I want you to address them. He says that he has emails saved from 2015 when you and Matt Boylan formed an alliance, basically saying that he has to follow you all's lead. So I want to ask, did you ever reach out to him? Because he said he has the emails. He said he didn't know who you were, but he has the emails from you and Matt.
My team. Well, I don't know who he's talking about. I don't have a team, so there's that. So I don't know who he means. And I never had an alliance.
I called him out on that when he said that. I called him out because I said, he's because it was 2 shows that he came on, and I said, you said Eric has an ego, but like he always responds to me in his YouTube comments. So you saying his team reached out to you? That just don't make sense to me.
Yeah. Mark has reached out to me a couple times in emails, and I haven't responded to him. So there's that. But I've never
tell the truth about that. He said he reached out to you.
Yeah, he did recently. He way back then he did, and then fairly recently as well. He reached out to, I don't know. I think he said something like, "I'm sure this is a shot in the dark, and you won't respond to this email, but just wanted to see if you would want to let bygones be bygones and squash things," type of stuff. But I mean, we've never had real issue because I've never actually talked to the guy. Like I said, I'm I'm an introvert first of all, and I'm big on observing. Like I said, there was barely anything to this. There was no flat Earth movement before I made a intentional. It was my life mission. Once I figured this out, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to wake the world up to this thing. It's so important. And so it's like my baby. So having done that, I pay close attention to everything that's happening in this flat Earth world. And when make red flags for me, I don't jump in and want to like hang out with you and promote you. I even more want to step back and see what you do, the more red flags you have. So these people that have had red flags for me, I don't talk to them. I don't go on their shows. But I do have, say, IFERS, for example, where I'll post videos of theirs and make, if they say lies about me, like you're saying, for instance, yeah, I'll post that in a forum post, just to have it recorded. So for posterity, when people ask me questions like this, why do you call Mark a shill, or what, why do you think that he's not good for the movement? Whatever. I try not to use the word shill anymore because it's so divisive and quick, and there's nuance to what what a shill, because there's, I think there are people that are paid and absolute disinformation agents, but then there's also, kind of person that's like an unwitting shill, and it's hard to know who's who exactly. But point being that there's trustworthy and untrustworthy people. There's people that I would recommend and people that I wouldn't recommend. And when you are discerning like that, a certain segment of the community doesn't call you discerning, they call you divisive. And I don't agree with that. And I know you don't either, because I saw you recently posting a series called Discernment, where you mentioned something along these lines. Maybe you can add to that. How do you feel about that, discernment versus divisive? Do we all have to play nice? Do we all have to be unified and everyone is on the same ground? No, all flat earthers were created equal, or do you think there is some room for calling out people that are potentially saying things that aren't true?
Hey, look, Eric, look, I think I planned this out pretty good because I'm going to get right to that in a little bit, but I want to try to just keep things in the order that I got them noted down. Is that cool?
Yes, cool, cool.
All right. All right. So the last claim that Mark made about you that I wanted to address, he tried to clean it up later, but he said you uploaded a video called Adolf Hitler is the greatest guy ever. Now, like I said, he fixed it later because I called him out on it. I said, I've been subscribed to Eric Dubay for years. I never saw that video, but I feel like he knew what he was trying to do to paint a worse picture than what it was. Now, granted, I get how those people could see the actual title as offensive, and I don't want to speak on something I don't know, but there is like I don't know the word for it. I don't want to call it a belief, but the idea out there that black people are the real Jews or Hebrews anyway. So until the truth is really established and understood among everybody, I don't understand why they get offended about that the same way non-black people don't understand why we get offended about certain things.
Sure. Yeah. And no, it wasn't called that. It was a banned video, and I probably can't even say the name of it, but you know, no, that wasn't what it was. And he is hyperbolic like that. And that whole crew is, when they mention me, they exaggerate or just outright lie about me in their claims about why I don't play with them, why I don't play nice with them. They've got this whole, idea of their own about why that is. But as I'm saying, it's just because I've noticed red flags and I take a step back. And if I see more red flags, I take another step back. And that's just how it's been and it's only a handful of people, maybe only 10 to 15 people maybe in the movement that I feel this way about. It's not that many. It just happens to be some of the bigger names. And so a lot of people just get bent out of shape about that.
All right. So after Mark Sargent went on Ironworks show, I guess Dave Weiss saw it as an opportunity to go on the show and do some PR work and try to clear his name. Again, I hadn't followed Dave over the years, so I only had one question for him, which was about him referencing the bucket of chicken on Lord Jamar's platform. But I never asked my question on that first show because I wanted to be respectful of everybody else on the panel, their questions. And Dave is very good at giving long, drawn out, indirect answers to questions just to like waste time so that people really can't get their questions in. So, which I called him out on that too. So, the initial show with him was about 5 hours long, which I was there for the majority of. But in the last 30 minutes after I left, he made the comment about Brother Sanchez that you saw in the video. So when he joined the panel for another show, I had to ask him about both of those things, which he did a lot of dancing around and trying to clean it up, but I wasn't buying it. And when that happened, there was quite a few non-black people in the chat saying they agreed with Dave. They didn't see it my way. I was the one being racist and pushing a division within the community. So just going back to what you said, like it's like I don't know. I guess they I don't know why certain people get the tag of being divisive and not others. Like Mark and Dave don't get it when they say that you hate them or they're making claims of you being anti-Semitic. They don't say that they're being divisive. It's just me for calling out what I feel is like some racial insensitivities, if we want to just put it like that, and like you for calling out what you feel are people who are just not honest within the movement. I don't know. I get the same thing about being divisive. I don't know. So like
Yep.
I feel like I don't know how you feel.
Yeah. No, I think that's just their little way because they have their own small unity amongst themselves. Like I was saying, they got their own little conference crew. They all go on each other's shows. And I feel like they are probably Freemason. And they just so happen to come into the movement right after I created it, knowing the history of Robotham and Wallace, of Ferrari and Johnson, etc. And then the Mark Sargent to my Eric Dubé comes right along with his whole crew. And it was just you knew it would happen. You see it happening, and I called it out right from day one until now. And I don't think I've been wrong. And a lot of people who have claimed that I've been divisive and claimed that I shouldn't, be saying these things have come around and said, you know what, you're right. Especially after they put out these documentaries like Behind the Curve or after Jaron did the final experiment, so many people came to my comment section and said, vindicated, Eric, you were right. You called them out since 2015, stuff like that. So that's why I do this. That's why, if if everybody has to blame me for being so divisive, but then in the end I end up being correct and I'm still the only one standing telling the truth, wasn't it worth it? Wasn't that better than
Yep.
if I just had a false unity with these deceivers and then became drowned out and they just muddy the waters and my voice of truth wouldn't even be a voice of truth anymore?
Yeah, see, the video I made about Dave, I had already thought about clipping it up and putting it out there for people to see, but the whole divisive thing was holding me back. And I knew because he was being offensive toward black people, I knew most people wouldn't care. But when he came back on the show for a third time and put out the AI picture, that's when I just said, I'm gonna just put it out regardless of who cares or sees it, because like I don't know if you're familiar with the reference, but maybe you can look it up later. Because I don't know, I was just thinking it was funny. They made me feel like Tupac in the movie Juice when Q called him crazy. Like when they called me divisive at first, I was tripping, but then I realized they're right. Like I am divisive. There's people in the community that's telling the truth just to spread the message, and then there's people causing confusion, possibly for personal gain. And when it comes to that, I want to be the most divisive person in the community. Yeah, I'll be divisive. Call me that. I want to be the human lie detector. Bring black light in so he can weed out the fakes from the people that's doing it honestly.
That's it, man. That's why I'm in this for the truth. I wasn't in it to make friends. I didn't come out here to have a unity among whoever comes out and claims themselves to be a flat earther and gets the most subscribers of a flat earth YouTube channel or whatever. And oh, now I want to be a. That wasn't why I was doing this. The whole point was to tell the truth and to expose this huge lie and other lies. I mean, I was doing that before the flat earth. When I found out 9/11, secret societies, banking conspiracies, the New World Order, the Illuminati, all this stuff, my mind was blown. I had no idea that the world actually operated this way. I was a normie like everyone else. They can, the way the television tells you the world is, I assumed that much. I mean, I didn't really venture into conspiracy type thinking until around 2006, 2007. And then once I did, it just changed my whole paradigm and my focus in life. I was more just I was focused on myself, honestly, just doing whatever. And then when you find out that the world is being deceived on such a level, it just made me refocus on. I felt like the future that was coming, this whole new, and still feel like, and it hasn't really gotten any better. It's only gotten way worse and more obvious since then, which is this kind of one world system, this digitization of world currency, and one world banking, and getting everybody on a chip one way or another. Um, it's absolutely happening, and the way that inflation versus cost of living. This banking conspiracy is huge. It's turning everybody into slaves, and most people don't even. And it's not even really a conspiracy. I mean, it is, but that word has been so loaded that when you use it, people just act like it's not truth. But it's like, no, no. I mean, the history of banking legitimately is a conspiracy. And if you look into it, you're going to find that there's reasons why inflation and the cost of living are out of control and completely imbalanced. Um, and things like that should make the everyman actually want to look at these things, because one of the things you hear all the time is like, what does it matter to my life, the shape of the earth, and I still got to go to work in the morning. And I mean, it's not so much about the shape of the earth as about the level of deception.
Right.
There are lies to this level, to the level that you don't even know the shape of the earth, that you think you're spinning around the sun and floating around the galaxy. Like, the amount of science fiction fantasy that people believe as science fact is ridiculous. And it goes far beyond the shape of the earth, and it goes right to your paycheck and the taxes being taken out of them, and how the money system, how money is even created, how it comes out of thin air. Um, and that very much should matter to you, and it does affect your daily life. And you might not have to get up to go to work in the morning if we all really focused and paid attention to how important this kind of stuff is, how much we're being deceived by this, and just stopped playing along like conspiracies are the dumbest thing, flat earth is so stupid. People like to tell themselves these things so that they can stay complacent in their mainstream view of the world. That's the reality of it. Because if you actually step out and look at some of these alternative viewpoints and study some of this alternative information, it's not that crazy. It's not that stupid. It's actually quite intriguing, and there's a lot of evidence for it. And the more you look into it, the more your worldview starts to shift that way. And that's why people have that view. They're like, tinfoil hat conspiracy. Oh, he's gone off the deep end. Oh, he went down the rabbit hole. These phrases exist because that is what happens. It's not that you lose your mind and you go crazy. No, you open your mind to alternative information that most mainstream people have never heard of or won't open their minds to. And once you're able to do that, you find truths that most people have no idea about. And so, from their perspective, you've gone off the deep end, you went crazy, blah, blah, blah. But again, if you personally take this journey, you're going to find that you didn't go crazy, you went sane.
Right. Yeah, I made like my way of when I started making videos, I tried to just make short videos and just keep it right to the point. And one of my first ones, that was exactly what I said. It's not about the shape. It's about the fact that we're being lied to. And what I always try to do, I stress like using relatable information. And like the main thing is money. I'm still working on how I can, like, let's say in 30 to 60 seconds, make a perfect connection between the flat earth and how it's related to the money. It's the reason why we're all struggling or just paying outrageous prices for everything. Because I know that, I don't know, like I said, relatable things like when Jeff Bezos did the whole nonsense with the rocket and Katy Perry. Like I feel like I like when certain things like that happen because it's something everybody can connect to when there's celebrities involved. And then I feel like we can use that to easily show people, how we being manipulated. NASA's getting billions and billions of dollars of our tax like money and just deceiving us with experiments and like paintings as if they real pictures, just like that. Like I'm like I said, I'm still working on it, trying to make that connection with money and the flat earth. I don't know, because like it's hard because another thing, like I feel like so many people just get off topic, like and just talk about things that are just so unrelated or just get straight too far away from the flat earth. And that's why, like, I just don't like when people say that you're divisive by calling out Shields or saying I'm divisive by calling out these things. If you're causing confusion, you're going to deter people from it. just like me with Behind the Curve, it made me not want to look into Mark Sargent. I'm sure when people start getting into light refraction and thermodynamics, you're gonna lose the average person. Like try to keep the information relatable if we really want to wake people up to it. But I feel like some people just trying to come off so smart, like I have all the answers. One thing I always say in my videos is just my opinion. I'll tell you right now, I don't have all the answers. If you want to debate, like, the stars and all of that, you can go to Santos Bonacci for that, or, somebody who studies that. I deal in logic. I deal with what makes sense to me. I'm not going to argue with you about vacuums and how they work and whether your science makes more sense than the science I believe or I think. Like, I feel like that just all those debates, like you were just mentioning earlier, just blowing up certain platforms just for a debate. I feel like it's not really enough. Like, and then one thing I say is I never even seen one of those debates. I just never seen it. I've never watched a lot of them, but I never seen any that were even scored or properly moderated. It seems like every debate I see, people just start cutting each other off, getting disrespectful, and then whoever's the host of it, they got their favorite. Usually, from what I see, is Globe side people hosting Globe debates or whatever. But I don't know. It's just it's a struggle. I'm in this. I just end what I'm my point right here. Is one thing I heard you say is a common question you get is like, do you think the masses will ever wake up? So what I want to ask is, what do you think it will take, or how long? Do you have, like, at what rate, like, or let's say at the rate that we going now, how long do you think it will take, or do you think something could speed it up? What do you think?
Yeah. I wonder if there will be a single catalyzing incident that is able to just wake everybody up en masse, like a COVID type thing where everybody's just paying attention because they're clamping down so hard around some issue. For example, there's this thing called Project Bluebeam, where
Right.
the idea is that they have these technologies where you can have holographic displays in the sky. This is like a CIA declassified document from decades ago that they are already developing this kind of technology to have convincing holographic displays over the entire sky so that people would think that a second coming of
Yeah.
Jesus or an alien invasion was happening. And then
Uh-huh.
they would be able to couple this with another kind of technology they have, which is called voice to skull, which is this like audio um, transmission device that goes right into your brain. So it's not passing through your ears like you're hearing normally, but it sounds like it could be God talking to you. And they were talking
Mhm.
about what kind of how they could deceive the public into a second coming of Christ by literally having people think that God was talking to them and Jesus was coming in the clouds, or alien invasion and the aliens are talking to them, or something along these lines. So, I mean, this seems way far-fetched and crazy, but to be honest, what happened in 2020 seemed pretty far-fetched and crazy before that took place. Nobody would have ever thought that the entire world would be able to shut down in unison and have everybody 6 feet apart, standing in lines and wearing masks for years because of a sickness that is like no more deadly than a common flu, but then propagandize everybody into thinking that it's like the worst bug that's hit us in the century. And so, I mean, uh, a lot of faith in humanity went down during that time, and a lot of you're able to see how controlled we truly are and how far along this new world order actually has progressed. But because they're making such oversteps, such overreach, it did wake up a whole new sector of the population. A whole bunch of new people came to my channel and woke up to flat Earth and other conspiracies because of what they did in 2020. So there's this balancing that happens. The more that people try to, rich psychopaths want to control humanity, further their grip, the more that people start to, wake up and realize that, this isn't the direction we should be heading. So it's like both things are happening at the same time. And what I would hope is going to happen and what we can push to happen is as these two tracks cross each other in the night, at one point there'll be a flip. In other words, the power of these rich psychopaths that, they've got so much money that they're all in politics, they own the United Nations and the banks and everything. So the amount of power, the amount of control they have on the world stage, they can just make a phone call, and the amount of influence they can have on the world is probably more than your entire life. Whatever you try to do your entire life to make change, they can counteract that in a phone call. But we've got the numbers. If we can wake up the entire world, and the entire world starts resisting and just saying, no, we're not going along with all these mandates, all these laws, all these rules, all these things that don't make any sense for us, they only make sense for you guys. If we can wake up people enough to have that kind of consciousness shift, a paradigm shift, then absolutely, that's what I'm working for. And I think that it's inevitable, actually, in a sense, because either we wake them up before any of this crap really hits the fan, and great, or it really does hit the fan, and this thing that what I'm talking about, it forces it, exactly like you say. So once they push so hard, well, everyone's going to see, wow, they're pushing so hard. And that's the time when voices like yours and mine are actually going to have a chance to have some effect. Right now, we're screaming in the wilderness, and people are probably still going along to get along, tightening their belts, going to their jobs, not making these connections we're talking about, that these tinfoil hats you think we're wearing are actually the thing that could free us, but you don't want to look into it. And because you just want to sit on the sidelines calling us crazy, we don't have the influence that we should have. We should be the mainstream opinion. We shouldn't be the alternative. Everyone should be on our side. These globers, these people that go along with the globe, for me, that's just a symbol of the mainstream at this point. But there's so many other mainstream ideas and ideals that people are propping up, that if we just leave them aside, this amount of control that the rich, powerful people have over us is gone. That's what I'm working towards. That's what I think, in a sense, it's inevitable, because either we wake up in time or we don't wake up in time. And then there's such a catalyzing event that there has to be some kind of awakening. The only thing that's going to matter is the earlier we wake up, the less painful it's going to be for us. Because the longer it takes, the more we let them clamp down this new world order around us, the harder it's going to be to struggle through that awakening process and actually taking the chains off of us again.
All right. So I wanted to ask you, because I'm glad you spoke on that, because when like you said, like media, like our voices need to be elevated now. I feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time in a sense, because I let people kind of kill my spirit from getting online earlier. But yeah, I'm trying to constantly share like just different channels of people's pages. Like, now, one thing, all right, well, let me ask you about this first. Because, all right, so two things I noticed that you don't do is from what I see, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't do live streams, and you also don't do like short reels. Why don't you do those?
I've considered both. I may at some point do both. Um, I haven't done shorts yet because most of my content is just like nothing that I say is short enough to make a short that even makes any sense to be a short. I think it would be a good way to try to grow my channel, and I've thought about trying to do it, but I just don't know. There's not really clips of mine that I think would be effective in that format. And live, there's a few reasons. I get nervous going live, like it's completely whatever happens, it happens. If somebody walks into the room, I get a phone call. I don't know. It's just you're on. It's go time if you're live. So I don't care for that. And also, it's when you're live, it's usually just you're responding to people that are there with you commenting. And so I think I would actually enjoy it. It might be fun for me, but I don't think, especially if you did it over and over, like if I just continued doing that, I think it would water down my channel, so that people coming to it, if that was all I was providing, was just kind of me talking to comments, it's not that engaging. But I think I've considered it. I may do it at some point.
Because the reason I brought that up, because like I said, that's how I'm connecting with a lot of people now. Like I said, Ironwork 92,000. I would subscribe everybody to recommend to him. And Eric, I would say you too. I would say because he runs a very fair channel, and like I said, he engages with the chat in the way that I feel like a lot of people like it. Like I said, he's like just like I said with you, he reaches out to people, and I feel like I said, like the shorts, if just my advice, if you could just figure out a way to just shorten some of your material, I feel like it would be great on TikTok because I feel like you are definitely needed on TikTok. I feel like there's a lot of people that lack discernment on TikTok that would really benefit from your presence over there because like when I found out I'm new to TikTok. Like this year I started getting on TikTok and I just got on there I just seen a lot of people just talking about how you could just post anything and just go viral and make money. So I'm trying to just, post my work stuff or whatever, just trying to go viral. But then I noticed like there was actually people doing like live streams talking about flat earth in there with panels. And I was pretty wide-eyed about it. I was excited. I'm like, yo, like there's a whole nother audience like where I could tap into and meet some new people. And then I quickly realized that those live streams are for people to yell and argue and not get your point across. And I don't know, like, just to me, like I said, I feel like your presence over there, would be helpful. Like I said, if you could do some things in short form, if any way you could figure out how to do that, that would be helpful. And maybe just like I said, with the live streams, if people could just reach you more, and then I would say to not maybe an idea to not water down your channel because I don't really like doing live streams. I feel like if I don't have something to talk about, I don't really want to go live. But I feel like maybe there are certain events that you could maybe like last year when they had that eclipse or whatever, that maybe could have been a reason for you to go live and just give that's something that people is eager to hear your opinion on it. You could maybe go live and give people a chance to, interact with you in real time. So you don't gotta do it so often, but people know when there's certain events, they might be able to catch you live.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But but yeah, also I wanted to say yeah, because and then the thing I thought about, yeah, because as far as going back to when you was talking about banking, I was thinking about money involved with all of this and like people just wondering like if people are into like the flat earth for the money or whatever. And it's just I think like you really only from what I see, you got your books and you got the membership on YouTube, which I'm a part of now. But like I feel like if you were in it for the money, you could have been doing like live streams and more things like that. But I've been talking to some people, getting some opinions, and I don't know about Dave Weiss, but a lot of people saying that he's like making millions off of his app. And I want to know how you feel about this because I believe that activists should be getting paid for spreading the word. Like like that's why I support you. But I feel like at what point do we use our discernment and say no, are you is this the only reason you in it for?
Sure, right, exactly. Like I was saying about those documentaries, there's globe Earth proponents trying to make a documentary. It's a couple of them, and these flat earthers just line up to go in, and so they're getting paid by the opposition to make a documentary, and then claiming that they didn't think that they would make them look bad. Or Mark Sargent, for example, he went to I think it was in Australia, and he did this betting app commercial. It was on television, and they just made him look like a dumb flat earther. That's why he was there. He was there to play the role of the dumb flat earther on a TV commercial. I
I
mean,
think I saw that.
did you see that? So I mean, that's the kind of thing that that's what I would say is a shill. That's clearly shilling. You are purposely making yourself look dumb on television for money in the name of the thing that you're supposedly the king of flat earth. You're supposedly exposing flat earth, but then you go on and I forgot, it was like a 30-second bit and I don't remember the little gags they made, but it made flat earth look dumb. Obviously they were poking fun of him, and his whole
Yeah.
shtick, just the way Mark is, I don't know. I assume that's just how he is. Same with like Patricia. Some of these people, I wonder, do they know how they come across, or is there somebody above them that sees how they are, and they're like, oh, these people will be perfect for the job, and
Yeah,
the me and what I mean by that is that they're not relatable people. They're very plasticky. They have these. I mean, they can talk and they can smile, and Mark and he can get along with people, but they're so superficial, and Patricia even more so. She's what made me start doing those impressions. She was so fake that I could do the impression. Welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. That's how she talked. And welcome to today's show. And just associating Flat Earth with that type of persona, or like I said,
yeah,
Mark going on that commercial, that is training people subconsciously to
yeah.
say that this is some weird crap. What is this lady on about? Hello. And the way she's like stare at the camera and hello, welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Today on the show. I mean, so it doesn't matter what you're saying after that, because the way you're saying it is so unrelatable and cringy that nobody wants to
Immediately
go
turning
there.
people off.
And that's why they chose them for these documentaries behind the curve. And like I'm saying, and I wonder myself, I wonder, is this like an act? Like, is this a meta act these people put on and they know how unrelatable and cringy they are? Or is this just how they are? Like, Mark just really is this way. And maybe his Freemason brothers are like, we got a job for Mark. This is going to be perfect.
I'm
That's what I think happens. I think that they are given these positions, and they're doing their best. That just is Mark. That just is Patricia. She wants to be a radio show host, and that's what she thinks a good radio show host looks like. Oh, when I talk fake and put on a face like this is what I think a good show looks like. And so I'm
right.
actually being authentic to myself, but in the background, I think they're being paid to be flat earthers. Here, put out this message, blah, blah, blah. Same with Jaron. That's why now he just flipped and just continued on like nothing had happened the past 10 years. And now he's a script glober. Just like he's on, like he was with Simon Dan. Like he goes on their channels and they're like buddy buddies now. He was fake angry at them and fake against them for the past decade, and now they're best friends. And what happened? They paid for a trip for him to go to Antarctica. Apparently, I mean, it's obvious to me what's going on here, but to a lot in the community, it's still murky.
No, I agree with what you're saying because I was thinking the same thing. It's just like actors in the movie. You want different personas to be able to appeal to the different demographic. You want to be able to get as many people as you can. So let's get Mark, who's a little more softer, a little more, he can talk a little more. People like that approach. Or we got Patricia for the female approach, or we got Dave for the he kind of attack people a little more. He's not afraid to call people names and whatnot. Like people are going to like the different approaches. Because I even thought about the same thing. I suggested this on Ironworks channel. Like like it's problematic for me that like Dave. I don't know. People say that Dave was a salesman. Like, but I do think that if we're trying to like reach people with the flat earth, we should look at it as like a product that we selling as far as just how do we reach people? The same way a company would do. How do we reach the kids? How do we get the message to them? It's not about selling it to them, just how do we open their minds up to it? How do we get, if we could look at the demographics like, all right, well, Kansas is a state where it's not that popular, or why aren't they researching it in Kansas? What is it about? Like, let's figure out how to reach out to them. But like I said, I thought the same thing. Like with just those different personas, it's just like they picked Mark. He was the perfect person for that movie. It's like they know certain personas. Like one. I don't know if I heard you speak on Austin Whitsick yet, but he's another one who I never watched his videos, but I've heard so many people talk about how amazing he was at speaking and how great of a debater he was. And I think he was like I just think, like I said, that persona. I think they found the perfect one to like, he's so captivating. He gets so many people, and then once we, make him look compromised, they won't know what to do. Like I like just like you said, I think they were so good at picking those people because like I know it's people that say they feel like Austin is compromised, and I know he did a live stream yesterday, and there are people that are supposedly flat earthers that were watching, still watching the live stream, and then probably I didn't, I saw it through some other channels, and I didn't look at all the comments, but I'm sure people was in there upset about things that he was saying or whatever. But it's like, why are you still watching it? Why are you still feeding into it? I know so many people sent money. Like I said, I've been talking to people, so I know they sent Jaron money to help him get a GoPro. They sent Austin money for all of the stuff, and they feel like they deceived them. So like, I don't know, like I said, it's just the personalities. Just like we grow up watching the television shows, all of the celebrities, Denzel Washington, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, all of the action stars, the same way I feel like with these characters, they knew the personas to put out there to be able to get to people.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is what they do. There's a certain, well, like astrology, for instance, there's like 12 signs. Or with the boy bands, there's like 5 types of
Yeah.
men apparently that you could always line up and let's pick the pretty boy, the bad boy, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you get those archetypes to promote whatever message you want, as long as you cover each archetype to be the leader for that type of person that wants to hear information from that type of person, there you go. And all you got to do is compartmentalize the people at the top, and you're all set. Everybody else just follows your little Pied Pipers that you set off.
I think we just figured it out, honestly. Uh, um, so a couple other people I just wanted to ask you about because I just learned recently that Rob Skiba died. Actually, because I didn't follow him. Did you have any relationship with him, or how did you feel about him? Was he a shill in your opinion, or?
He was an interesting one because he was part of that FEIC conference crew, but I never felt that he was quite as in it. Because that's the other thing. Similar to ODD, for instance, I feel like there's well, and this is how Freemasons operate, so it absolutely could be this way, which is there's people that are already part of the Brotherhood. And so for you, it's simple. You just get your next assignment type of thing. But then there's also new recruits. And the way you're recruited into Freemasonry is through someone who's already a Freemason, and then you get recruited that way. I don't know his relationship to the rest of the crew. What I would say is he was a literalist Christian. I don't jive with literal Christianity. So to me, anyone who mixes flat earth with literalist Christianity, you're already in disinformation land. And so for me, I put him in that camp anyway. So he wasn't flat earthing the way I would prefer. I would rather have people just talk about flat earth, or if you're going to talk about other things, mix it in. Well, it's kind of got to be stuff I agree with, or else I'm just not going to really want to deal with you, right? I'm going to think that there's either alternative motives or just that we don't see eye to eye on that thing, and in which case I'm going to promote what I see, not what you see, type of thing.
So I also wanted to ask you about Sean Hibbler because I know you were in the first level movie, but you weren't in like any of the follow-ups. I didn't know. I was wondering what was your relationship with him, if you felt like maybe he was, if he was compromised or if you just decided not to be in the films.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily think he was compromised. We still we chat back and forth once in a while, and we're on good terms. But when it came time to make the level 2 and the level 3 movies, I, as you know, have an issue with Dave Weiss and some other people in the movement, and he wanted to include Dave Weiss specifically in the movie, and I specifically didn't want to be in a documentary with Dave Weiss. So it was basically a hard it was an ultimatum on my part, and he went with Dave Weiss. And so I just said, all right. And I think the part 2 and part 3 suffered uh, for it, but that's on his, that's up to him. I still enjoyed the first one. I thought it was pretty good. I like his video editing capabilities. He's great as far as that's concerned. But then when it goes back to this whole discernment thing we were talking about, I don't know that he's compromised. I think he just discerns differently than me, and that's fine. Um, but and this is what I like. That here's an example. So we don't have unity, so to speak, but he's also not an enemy. I'm not calling him a shill. You know what I mean? We don't see eye to eye completely. And I like this kind of semi-unity much better than whatever kind of unity this other crew trying to get with me and blaming me for not having. It's like,
Right.
can't we just we work together a little bit and then we work on our own a lot? And if we decide to come together with certain people at certain times, great. And if certain people don't jive with us so much, fine. Why this big deal acting like we all need to be unified and acting like if I've got an issue with 10 flat earthers out of 100 million, that it's some big issue.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't I mean, I I guess that leads to the perception of you saying that, people saying it's your way or no way or whatever, but it's just your request. It's your personal request. The same way anybody would. They don't want to, if me and you are friends and I don't like somebody and you want to hang out with that person, it would be natural. Okay, well, I'm just gonna not hang out with y'all today. I'll hang out
Right.
with you when you're not around them. But I don't know, people always making things more than what it is. But yeah, I want to circle back. There's a thought I had when we were talking about like the archetypes and whatnot, and I brought up Denzel Washington. And I know there's a quote that he has that I always think about when it comes to like the flat Earth. He's talking about how like I think it's like just the time of social media, just the way there's like so much information out there now that people are more caught up with the need to be first as opposed to the need to be right.
Mm.
And I think that's, he was talking to the reporter, like, I think really trying to get the message through to her, like, what a responsibility you have on what you're reporting. But I think it's with all of us. I think that's like why, and then I also wanted to, so I want to tie in a couple things here. I was wondering because in my experience, like out in the flat earth community, I don't see as many black people out there. And I know that like my people, I know we more caught up with like, getting maintaining some type of financial stability as opposed to, the flat earth. I feel like I know a lot of them feel like that conversation is a waste of their time. But but yeah, it's just like with the need to be first, so many people want to be content creators and just reacting to things. And like that's like the most important thing to people. It's like I don't care about what's true or what's right or what's relevant. People are talking about Tory Lanez and Meg The Stallion. That's hot in the news. Let me jump right on it. Even whatever they might have reported it incorrectly. Let me react to it. Oh, Diddy is in the news. Let me report to that. And I hate that my people is like so caught up in that ignorance. I know that's just my people. I'm working on my people. I know that ain't your problem. But I was just wondering, like, how do you see like in the community? Do you see like a lot of black flat earthers? Like, how do you see it like out there?
Yeah, I haven't noticed that there's like uh way less than any other race. I don't think that there's like that you're falling behind the Asians or anyone else. I do think that is pretty even split as far as I've seen.
There's a lot of people that feel like I'm wasting my time with this conversation. And it just bugs me because like I feel like my people, we know that the government, like I feel like we should be like more aware of this than most people. We know not to trust the lies that come from them and just to see that, well, I mean, like I said, I know it's, we more focused on making money, but just like I said, with the new, even just not like just black people, just so many people want to be content creators and just reacting to anything and just putting anything out there and just flooding just
Right.
the internet with just nonsense. I don't know. It's just
That's
like I
that's what
said.
I was thinking. Yeah. The point I was thinking was when you said about being first rather than being right. That I do
Yeah,
notice, and I think that is part of the content creation grind. Is that it doesn't really matter if you put out truth. It matters that you're first. It matters that you get to whatever the trending subject is right away, because that's how you're going to hit the algorithm. You're going to get the views, you're going to get the money. And so people that are doing this for a job, and that's most people are doing YouTube for, to make money doing the thing they like. They're not using YouTube to try and expose a global conspiracy. Um,
right.
so it's a very different thing. Um, I was doing it for years, making no money, And then finally, I started selling my books. I made some, and then just this past year, or almost 2 years now, I opened a Patreon, and so people have actually supported me that way, and YouTube memberships. And I absolutely appreciate that I'm able to do this full time now, and you know, get paid to do it. But I didn't previously, and I did it for nearly a decade unpaid. And I worked teaching English and teaching yoga and Wing Chun and doing other things. Um, so for me, it's still truth. That's why I do it. But if you don't have some element of trying to be first, make those catchy thumbnails, get that a catchy title for the video and just the right length, and deal with the YouTube analytics. You have to play the game, or else your truth message isn't going to get there. So I even get part of this idea that you have to do this algorithm grinding, or I don't know how to word it, just to even get a real message out there. Even if money isn't what you're doing it for, you still got
Yeah.
to play the game, or else you're not going to win.
And that's why on my channel, you'll see I'm like doing streams about basketball because basketball has become so big, it's almost like a religion nowadays. So like I do that sometimes just to try to get into the algorithm. And it actually worked one time. I was doing a live stream and somebody told me that he got recommended to me.
Oh, right
And
on.
like, and that's one thing I keep saying, like I keep telling my girl, I keep telling myself, like I always said, I don't want to become like a prostitute for the internet where like I want to put a message on here. And yeah, I was saying I don't want to be a prostitute for the internet and like only doing because like I said, I did a skit. They got like on TikTok, it got 18,000 views. But I did a basketball short and put it on YouTube, and that got like over 500,000 views. So like if I'm doing things like that and it helps me get into the algorithm, and eventually I'm getting paid for this, but people see I'm talking about the flat earth too. Of course, somebody might want to sway me or, oh yeah, I'll make more of those funny videos. And somebody in my position who don't got a lot of money, it's not sweet for me right now. Of course I'll be encouraged, oh yeah, let me go ahead, make some of these videos. And then it could just get to a point where I'm eventually swayed completely off of my message. And I don't want to do that, just like trying to get into the algorithm just to be able to get the message out there. But like you said, we got to play the game to some degree.
And as long as you're doing it with something that you enjoy yourself, like basketball, I've got other stuff that I enjoy that I have put on my channel as well. Some things that do hit the algorithm and do well, and other things that most people don't even like, but I enjoy it. And so I also purposely made the channel my name, Eric Dubay, rather than the flat earth, or something like that that would box me into some idea of myself, because we're all dynamic people, and like we were saying, uh, personas like that could be used to, like a Pied Piper, to lead people astray, but it can also be used by genuine, authentic people to bring people to your message. So if other people are into basketball, for example, and they have no idea about flat Earth, they don't care about that, but then they relate to you based on some other aspect of your personality that you absolutely enjoy, and that you want to create content on that as well. I think that's totally valid. And I think that's a perfect way that we can kind of infiltrate the algorithm, so to speak, without compromising ourselves or our channels in any way, because people are multifaceted like that. We can be a flat earther and enjoy other things and have our channels be about all of it. So I totally think that's fine. The thing I was criticizing is when you mix flat earth with things that are purposely disinformation or obviously cringeworthy, or whatever, and it brings your message down. Things like that, I don't think brings your message down in any way.
Yeah, I appreciate it because I actually most of the subscribers I got on my channel, they all came from Ironwork channel. Like I said, he runs a good fair channel. When I started doing my content, he was a big supporter of it and told people to subscribe to me. So I was doing my NBA Finals predictions the other night, and most of the people in the chat were flat earthers. Some of them didn't. Most of them didn't care about basketball, but we all just in there having fun, giving our predictions. So yeah, it works both ways. It's just, we all just getting along, even though it's things that make us different. We all just getting to know each other in there. But but yeah, also yeah, speaking to what you were saying, yeah, that's another thing with Mark Sargent because I looked into his channel and now like his live videos, like his series that he's doing is called Strange World, and the thumbnails just look so extreme that it's like you're supposed to be the flat Earth guy. What is this Strange World stuff with all these weird thumbnails? It's like he getting into like I don't know. It just looked like the conspiracies that would turn people off, like some like reptilian stuff, like that stuff. People could be reptilians and shapeshifters, but we don't got enough proof of that. Like I feel like that's too far out there, and his channel just looks like that. So I get completely what you're saying with mixing that up.
Yeah, I agree. And he's been doing that right since he first came on the scene. That was the thing I took issue with right away was just the way he spoke about flat Earth and speaks about flat Earth. Now he has it like on a script that he does before every show. He says this where he's like, "Are we living in a Truman Show enclosed dome?" And he has these little phrases like that, a Truman Show enclosed dome. I mean, that's flat Earth adjacent, I guess. But saying that as this little script he does before every single show, it's like you're saying, it's just it's off there in kind of weird fringe land, and it seems like he's doing that purposely and mixing that in with the flat Earth. Like one of the early things he was saying was that the moon is a holographic projection by the dome builders. This is how he would always say it in interviews. I mean, what does
Yeah,
that mean? The dome builders are holographically projecting the moon. I mean, just that phrase is already turning a bunch of people off, and any critical thinker like myself, it's just making me go, wait, what are you talking about? Dome builder? So you think there's physical beings alive now that built the dome? Is that what, and nobody ever questions him on these things that he says. Like, why are you conflating a movie with reality every time? Why do you always say Truman Show enclosed dome? That's a movie. Like, aren't we talking about the truth here? Why are you every single show incorporating a fiction movie into the nonfiction truth that you're supposedly about to disclose? It's these little subconscious things that a lot of people, it just goes over their head and they're like, Eric, what are you nitpicking about? Like, this is how they operate. If you are going to be an agent and like a Pied Piper and throw people off course, how do you think you do it? These little subtle ways is how you do it. Welcome to Flat Earth, another hot potato. The way that she stares at the camera and says that plasticky phrase, that's turning off 99% of humanity. And the 1% that follows her doesn't get that because they think that she's
yeah.
just so friendly and charming, and they don't get that that persona doesn't work for most people.
Exactly. It's just like a company putting out a spokesperson. They wouldn't put out somebody like that because they know it would turn people off. But flat earthers somehow don't see that how that would make us look bad and turn people away from it.
Some of them.
But
I mean, a lot of people do see it, and I'm grateful for
yeah,
that. But of course, like we're saying, there's these sectors of the population that are going to see a person that is their particular boy band type that they go, oh, I like the pretty boy, and pretty boy Mark just says it the way that I like to hear it. And so that they're going to go get the information from him. And then if the information from him is compromised and there's misinformation and there's lies about me and lies about other things in it, well, that's going to be truth to them because he's their guy. He's the leader. He's the one that they found out about flat Earth from. So they think he's a truth teller about all things. And so they call it muddying the waters. That's what's happening. You just put a little drop in the clear water of this mud, and now suddenly you can't see what's going on there. And that's why I think it makes sense to be divisive. If you want pure water, you got to be
right.
divisive. If you just want a unity of muck in your pond, then fine. You can just have everybody welcome everyone who says whatever they want to say. You just have to claim to be a flat earther, like Jaron for the past 10 years. Didn't fool me, but apparently fooled pretty much everyone else in the community. And this is the kind of thing I'm saying.
And that poison water, that's a perfect analogy because I heard somebody else use that analogy before too. Like like because so many people say things about like, oh, Mark and Dave, they did so much good for the movement. They woke up so many people, but like if they're compromised in any kind of way, even the 99% of 99% water, that 1% of poison is enough to hurt you. Like so,
Right.
why people allow that is beyond me. But but this is why I say I feel like you are needed on TikTok because like I said, I talked to some people on there, and what I hear certain people like when I ask them for their opinions on like you and some of the other bigger names, and what they'll do sometimes is they'll lump y'all together as like the flat Earth OGs, and I feel like there may be some division needed there, and certain people may not like it, but it's another reference for any hip hop fans out there. I think that you are kind of like the Kendrick Lamar of flat Earth. Kendrick Lamar released a song recently. I don't know if you know anything about the Kendrick and Drake beef, but it basically stemmed from Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake being like considered the big three. And Kendrick Lamar said, "Ain't no big three, it's just big me." And I don't. That's just me saying a few. You don't got to have the ego, but I think you need to kind of divide it up so that people don't like look. If you want to support them, that's one thing, but I don't support what they are saying. I have my own message. If you want to support me here, it's my new TikTok channel. I got these new little short videos for y'all to share because people love doing that too on TikTok. People love sharing and reposting all those little short videos. And I think you can make them like up to like a decent length too. I think maybe like 3 minutes or more. So I think you got some stuff to work with there
Yeah.
if you want to do it.
Have you ever seen any of my rap videos?
Yeah, I have.
Similar to Kendrick Lamar, I actually have done some diss videos of other people in the community, so that analogy does kind of fit. um,
Yeah, another thing that I'm trying too is you familiar with Kyrie Irving, basketball player who came out and said it was flat.
yeah,
So I know so over the years, because he loves basketball, wants to keep his job. I understand why he stopped talking about it. Certain people say he switched his position, but I followed him. I know he just kind of he gave them what they want enough to get him off his back. But
that's what I thought as well. I didn't think he changed his mind. He just got a lot of backlash, like everybody does, and he just had to kind of mitigate that in a way that he could keep his career and keep his status without, because they'll destroy you over stuff like this. If you want to hardline certain issues and stand for that and nothing else, well, all right, then we don't care how good you play basketball, so to speak. If you're only going to use this platform to spread some flat earth message, for example, which the people on high in society, they spend lots of time, money, and energy making sure you don't figure these things out. So they're not going to just provide platforms for people to expose them if that's what they find their main mission is. And so I see him similar to what we were saying. If basketball is his main mission, but he can and has had a side mission of awakening a bunch of basketball enthusiasts to the flat earth, and that's perfect. That's what everybody can do. Everybody has their niche audience of something that has nothing to do with flat earth that you can bring into it, like you were saying in the live stream, where the live stream was about basketball, but actually pretty much everyone in it was flat earthers. Now imagine somebody coming into that discussion not knowing that, and everyone's on the same page about flat earth in a basketball stream. The influence it would have to somebody, they would be like, what, you mean everybody in this stream is a flat, I'm like the only non-flat. That'll make them feel like they're the outcast and they need to
yeah,
research flat earth just to be part of the in group. That's the exact reason why most people don't research flat earth, is because they don't want to be in that fringe out group. They don't want to be known as the crazy flat earther. But, and this is what I'm hoping will eventually happen soon here, is the tipping point will be reached. We're becoming a large minority. At some point, we will be the majority. And once that happens, the rest will just come along anyway, because they're the followers that didn't research this for the years, and they were just following anyway. They'll follow the new mainstream narrative because that's how they are. And those aren't really the important people to get anyway. We need the discerning leaders. The followers will follow suit eventually anyway, once this is the mainstream narrative. But before that, you need to catch the rebels, the outliers, the people that don't actually care about social status and social standing, and they're fine with being laughed at and called crazy or whatever, because they've got a bit more emotional and intellectual fortitude than the average person, and they can take it and still keep going with the truth, because they find that truth and integrity and authenticity is far more important than just having the mainstream like you and agree with you at all times.
all right, yeah, and I got brought up Kyrie Irving because he does streams on Twitch as well. And I know he has like a pretty big following over there. I was actually in the stream he did the other night. It was like 5 hours long. And so he can't, talk about like the flat earth like that, but he's still just waking people up to truth, just talking about current events and things like that. And I'm just hoping like to kind of get on his radar because I feel like, it's almost like certain people like him, he needs people to say things for him, like he can't speak on it, but people that are in what he calls his tribe, we can come out here and he can elevate our voices. So I'm like I said, I'm trying to do my part. Like I said, making up for lost time, trying to make connections on all these different apps, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch, or whatever way I can, because I ain't got no $1 million or no nothing like that at stake. So I'm all in with it.
Yeah, no, and it's so helpful. Like Bob, I think that may be similar in the sense of he gave my name in one of his songs, and so that's making or allowing me to speak for him. That he put enough faith in my message to just basically say go to Eric Dubay, and so that's a way that I can speak for him, but he's speaking to people that I could never get access to. And so we
Right.
can work together in these ways, like you're saying, like Kyrie Irving's doing. If you're on a certain stage where you can't say, or Eddie Bravo did the same thing, you know what I mean? He's at a certain level where he has access to people that I don't have access to. And so he goes on the Alex Jones show and says my name over and over again, or on the Joe Rogan show, and he's done it. And these are the kind of things that people that are kind of like closet flat earthers or people who don't know how to do flat earth activism, there's so many little ways that you can anonymously do it as well. But if you don't even want to be known as a flat earther, there's so many anonymous types of activism that you can do. If people care to find out, I have like a bunch of videos called flat earth activism that you can find, stickers and poster. You can make channels that don't use your own voice or your own picture. People go out and do tags. There's a bunch of things that you can do that isn't gonna out you as a flat earther, but you can point towards other legitimate voices in certain ways. People leave business cards all over the place, signs on highways, you name it. But and people have done it for the past decade. That's how flat Earth got big. I mean, there was a time back when this was first gaining its steam, when just holding a sign that says flat Earth was already what nobody. It wasn't it wasn't a thing. It wasn't on anyone's radar. Now people maybe don't do that as much anymore because everybody knows that there's these crazy flat earthers out there. Now what we need is, like we're saying, targeted links or targeted names. Because if you just say flat earth, like I said, you type that into Google, you're not going to get legitimate flat earth people or flat earth videos anymore. You need Eric Dubay, or you need an actual name, specific links, something more than the general, which was fine maybe in 2015. Now we need more specific, books to go to, actual names of documentaries that people can type in. I think that's where the future is, not the general just research flat earth. That worked in 2014. Now you tell people to research flat earth, they're not going to be able to. They're just going to come up with a bunch of disinformation or globe earth shill debunking type videos. They're not going to find the real good flat earth videos that were actually waking people up a decade ago, that have mostly been banned now, and hopefully some re-uploaded, but a lot of them lost to history.
Yeah, that's why I always talk about it the way I do, and like just emphasizing keeping things on a relatable level, because I know I heard you say the same thing before. It's like over the last 10 years, it's become popular enough to where most people have heard about it, but it just did most people just haven't cared enough to look into it for one reason or another. So, like, yeah, I do. There are certain things I've done in my own way too. I'm gonna send you some more stuff. I meant to send you some stuff a while ago, but I'm gonna send you some more stuff of what I did. But but yeah, I just want to. Oh, this is actually one thing I wanted to bring up. I know we're probably running out of time to get ready to just kind of close it out here. I'm kind of at the end of my notes. But yeah, this is kind of funny thing I wanted to bring up. So there's a guy that I've met on Ironworks channel. His name is Harmon Walker. I just figured I'd bring this up just because he might watch this. You know, you allow me to upload it on my page after you send it to me. So yeah, just speaking, just I know he watched you for like a while. I think he was like a big supporter of you and your IFRS page. But I know what he was upset about is he said that he was on like the Wall of Shields page, like I guess on the Dave Weiss part, and he said like one good thing. He said something about he thinks Eric Dubé and Dave Weiss are both good guys. And he said he got banned from your page. I just wanted to know if you remember that or if you wanted to speak to that at all.
I don't remember that. No. Um, there are two other administrators on IFRS, or there were. That's something I could talk about. So there was me and two other administrators on IFRS for the past decade or so. But the other two were two, a brother and sister from England that I've never met, but they were early flat Earth adopters and supporters of my work. And so it could have been one of them, first of all. I don't remember what it was. And very recently, I'm thinking this is what happened is they've kind of, they haven't really been doing administrating for several years now. I think they've opened a vegan restaurant as far as last I heard. And so they're busy doing other things. Recently, I thought IFRS was hacked because a bunch of threads were disappeared and a bunch of accounts got deleted. And now what I think has happened is one of the other two administrators just came back and started administrating again. I'd assume they kind of stopped doing it. And I think that's where a lot of threads disappeared and a lot of people just got banned. This was a few months ago, not too long ago. So what I did is I turned both of their administrator accounts off. So previously, basically, we were kind of a cohesive unit and we would talk together if we were going to ban something, if we didn't want a thread, and it worked that way. Time's passed, and now we haven't even talked for years, but they still have admin capabilities. And I think one of them came back a few months ago and just what they thought was cleaning up the forum, because back in the day, we had I would say, a very heavy ban hammer for this reason. I mean, we still have these rules. I just don't enforce them as tightly anymore, which is that you're not supposed to create a new thread in the forum whatsoever if there's an existing thread that suffices, for example. Because people just love to start new threads and talk about random stuff. You know, drinking pee for health, for example, is one that was deleted that I would, back in the day, we would have deleted those. And this is why I think this is what happened, is I think he came back, he or she, and they deleted the thread and the people that were leaving these kind of questionable stuff on IFRS, because that's what we used to do. We wanted to keep the integrity of it for just stuff that we agreed with. What happened over time is that we kept such a heavy ban hammer that people were not enjoying it. And I think a lot of people that were genuine people were getting banned just because they don't have the same perspective that we do. And I wanted to open that up a bit more and just, all right, let's just allow perspectives that I don't agree with, but still let it on. So that's what I've been doing for several years now. And I think that's what happened, long story, recently, is that they came back, they banned a bunch of people, deleted a bunch of threads, and that's their right to do so. That's kind of how the MO was back in the day. But I've kind of switched it up over time because we got a lot less people posting now too. IFRS was booming back in the day. Now it's, now everything's moved to YouTube and others. It's not, the internet changes over over the decades. Forums aren't a big thing anymore. So anyway, I don't recall the Harmon, or I don't know what his IFRS name was. I know the thread you're talking about, but I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Like I said, me too, I have gotten softer as time has gone. So like I used to ban anything, like if it wasn't right on what I thought was legit, get out of here. I've softened over time to the point that I've just, like I said, I've just not banned, but I've administrated my own administrators. So they don't even have that power anymore. I'm the only one now that has that power. And that's why the forum, some people would say, has gotten worse because of it, because now I'm just allowing kind of whatever, like most forums do, because I've just gotten so much flack for the way I've moderated it previously. I don't know what to do. It's the same issue we were talking about with unity versus divisiveness. Basically, when I first started, I was super divisive, and I was just like, I'm going to keep the integrity of what I think is the truth, and anyone that goes off my script, basically, you're off my forum. I admit that's kind of how that was. I've softened up a lot over the past 10 years to the point that I think my two administrators, they're just kind of like, you're too soft now. I don't know. We haven't talked. I don't know what they would say, but I took their moderation capabilities off because I think one of them came back, deleted all that thread, and then it caused kind of an issue with me and everyone else there. Like, Eric, why did you just ban me? Why did you delete my thread? And I'm like, I didn't. Sorry. So I thought it was hacked. And then I looked a little further at what was hacked. And I think this makes more sense. Is I wasn't hacked. It was the administrators just came back and started administrating again.
All right, so Harmon, if you ever see this, there you go. It might not even been Eric that did that. So I asked the question for you just because I know that was something that he had mentioned to me. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you. Even though I'm gonna be honest, in your defense, even if you did that, I would have understood because yeah, like yeah, just like you said, keeping the integrity of it pure. If you know I don't support him over here, well, you support him somewhere else. I ain't gonna lie, Harmon. I would have did this. Yeah, hey, look. I ain't gonna lie, but
And that's possible. I like I said, my hardness and softness on the forum has kind of changed over time, and depending on when that was, it could have been me or it could have been them. I'm honestly not sure.
all right. But yeah, I can't see the time, so yeah, I know we're probably getting close to the end of it. But yeah, I just wanted to end off just saying like yeah, just recommend once again one more time Ironwork 92,000. Yeah, if you want to subscribe to him, maybe just check out some of his live streams. Or I think he subscribed to you as well, and I think maybe if I talk to him, I know he's open to doing an interview with him if that's something you would like to do. Just helping, just get your name out there and helping kind of get rid of the misconception that you being like this recluse and not wanting people just see you on some regular channels. If people see you on like Brother Sanchez or Old Me No More, or if they see you on TikTok a little more, I think people will, it'll change the misconceptions and it'll help clear things up for people to see, what's real flat earth information and what's just, like you said, the stuff that's muddy in the waters.
Right. Yeah, and I'm hoping to get out and do a little bit more of that kind of stuff now. I've just moved into a new place. It's a bit quieter and I've got high-speed internet. So I haven't been doing as much interviews and podcasts recently, just more because of where I was living. So now I'm open more to doing lots of ideas. I got a lot of new things that I want to try as well as interviews. So yeah, I'm open to that. Actually, I think I just saw Ironworks in the comments on my last video. I recognize that name. So yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Check out his channel.
Yeah, and if just my last thing, just before we go, if I could just plug my music video real quick, is it okay if I do that?
For sure.
So I got a music video on my channel called Detox. It's about social media addiction. If anybody want to check that out, I got a pretty good music video with clips in it that I put together, and I also got a lyric video on it as well. So hopefully y'all check that out, help my channel grow, and we can spread this word.
Absolutely. I'll put a link to your YouTube channel down below as well. If you have any other links, social media that you would like promoted, just send them along to my email, and I'll put that in the video description as well.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, E man, I appreciate you for sharing the stage with me, man. Even though people, you got that huge ego, you don't like sharing the stage. I appreciate you sharing it with me a little bit.
Well, I'm glad there was some room left on the stage for you with my big ego. I'm glad I didn't push you off the stage and that we could have this talk. I enjoyed it. But like I said, I've always enjoyed your comments over the years. I recognize that you're an intelligent person with, and a genuine, authentic person. Just the way you talk, it comes across in comments. Usually, I can tell what kind of person somebody is by the way they express themselves in written language, even. And haven't been wrong yet. I think the people that I've noticed their words when I meet them, I haven't been disappointed. So I appreciate you going out on a limb here with me, just coming out and doing this podcast. I know we've never talked before, that we were just in comments and recently the email I sent you. So thanks for doing this, and maybe in the future I plan on continuing. We may have repeat guests eventually once I've gone through my Rolodex of people I want to talk to, and hoping you success in your channel and appreciate the activism you're doing and continue to do. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I hope I add some numbers to your channel. Hope your channel grow. And I almost forgot. I almost went through the whole show without showing off the shirt. Can you see it?
Nice one. It certainly is.
I wanted to come dressed for the occasion.